but Binka suppressed her anger. She knew it would be embarrassing if she raised her voice in a place like this and someone caught her. If you say so, I can't help it. But you know that what happened between us is a secret, right? Clear. I'm not very talkative. I'll take this to the grave. The maid in charge of cleaning the prison nodded at Binka's warning. It was a satisfactory answer. Of course, he had no intention of returning her alive just because she kept quiet. It was a difficult request, but thank you very much for accepting it. I prepared this as a token of my sincerity, so please accept it. Binka smiled slightly and took out the glass bottle she had prepared in advance. Inside was a liquid of unknown origin. What is this? The maid accepted the bottle with a somewhat uncomfortable expression. She didn't seem very happy with the sudden gift. It's lemonade. There is a famous shop in the Plaza de la Fuente, in front of the palace. I stood in line to buy it. Binka smiled as innocently as possible, as if she had no ulterior motives and the drink was simply a gift of goodwill. Oh really? There they only sell 10 bottles a day. It must have been difficult to get them. The maid, who had shown some doubt, looked at the glass bottle, as if intrigued by Binka's words. It was a restaurant famous among palace employees, but I had never tried it. I stood in line since dawn and barely managed to buy it. You tried so hard to buy it, so it would be rude to refuse it. I will drink it with gratitude. He blurted out something he didn't want to say and started drinking the liquid from the bottle without hesitation. Binka watched the scene with a trembling heart. How could the runner who died yesterday be so completely free of suspicion? He also fell for the lie that it's a nutritious tonic and drank the drink Binka offered him, only to end up like this. Well, there's a reason why famous restaurants are famous. It is unique and delicious. The maid spoke, smacking her lips as if she enjoyed the taste. At his words, Binka had to suppress a sneer. His claim that he had bought it from a famous store was, of course, a lie. And after a while, the maid began to cough, her throat sore. The poison was beginning to take effect. Because the maid, who was writhing in pain as if it were difficult for her to breathe, soon collapsed on the floor. With a slightly nervous expression, Binka searched the maid's body and took out an identification card that allowed her to enter the prison. Still, maybe he had gotten used to it, since it was the second time. His body didn't shake like the first time. Binka hid the maid's body behind the bushes. She wouldn't be hidden forever, but at least it would avoid discovery for a while, giving her time to meet her father in prison. Nervously, she passed through security and entered the prison. Hearing footsteps, Byron, sitting in his cell, got up and approached the bars. It seemed like he was just waiting for his daughter's visit. Father. Yes, my daughter. You have come. I hope you bring good news for your father. Byron spoke in an expectant voice. Apparently he had not heard the news that Capella had been captured or that she had taken her own life. That is. I met Capella and gave him a letter. Binka put Capella's letter between the bars, with a perplexed expression. How should I give him that sad news? Byron, who read in his daughter's expression that something unusual was happening, narrowed his eyes and asked, "What's going on?" Actually. He sighed and talked about the current situation. A look of despair came over Byron's face upon learning that Capella had been captured and had even committed suicide in prison. He had no idea that Capella, his last hope, would leave so in vain. Furthermore, the last letter Capella left did not contain any useful information. Requesting foreign help? If Cloud Air had spoken, we would have taken care of it already. Was there really no way now? A feeling of emptiness came over him, but Byron didn't show it and asked, "Has Capella left you something?" He gave me poison so I could make sure I cleaned up after myself. Binka took out a small vial from her chest and showed it to him. Poison, poison. He pounded on the iron bars, deep in thought. He was destined to die there anyway. If he was going to die anyway, wouldn't it be better to take those who usurped his place with him? The younger brother who usurped the emperor's throne, the old friend who took Ophelia's place, Ophelia who chose someone other than him. And even the hunting dog, Isla Weishafen, who fearlessly tried to destroy her master. There is something you must do with that poison. What is that, father? Kill the emperor, the crown prince, the Duke of Weishafen and their families. Since you work in the palace, you should be able to do things like poison food, Byron said, a malicious smile at the corner of his mouth. At her father's order, Binka gasped in fear. He had already killed 2 people, but wasn't poisoning the emperor different from killing a simple maid or a neighborhood criminal? Wouldn't it be difficult? This is your father's last hope. Even if Capella dies, won't the reinforcements he summoned arrive soon? To facilitate their entry, we need to wreak havoc on the empire. Only you can do it. Byron blurted out the lie without flinching. Even if he told Binka, it's unfair to die alone, so I'll take as many enemies as I can, there would be no way she would listen to him. Even so. Binka. Are you okay with your father breaking down like this? If I fall, you will have to continue living a difficult life like the one you lead now. Byron pleaded with a pitiful expression. Perhaps his persuasion had worked. Binka closed her mouth with a complex expression. Looking at her face, Byron was sure of his victory. If I have the opportunity, I will try. And as Byron expected, Binka soon gave him the answer he was looking for. Yes, my daughter. After all, there is no one but you. He smiled with satisfaction. It was a devilish and mysterious smile. Winfried was nervously waiting for the carriage to arrive at the residence of the Duke of Weishafen. It was the first time he had seen Isla since she left with her family. Today I plan to visit Debbie and Scott's safe house with her. The sentences of the arrested criminals had not yet been handed down, but he felt that they were now safe. Although they said it was for a purpose, both of them were traveling in a carriage towards a mansion. Didn't it feel like a date? He fanned his face, which was red with excitement for no reason. Hanging out alone with Isla was nice, but there was one more thing he was looking forward to. Since the job was about to end, he hoped Isla would tell him the secret she had promised him. The carriage carrying Winfried, full of excitement, arrived at the Duke's residence. When he stepped out of the carriage with light steps, Isla was there to greet him, as if she had already finished preparing to leave. Hello, Isla. Oh, but your hair is. Winfried, who had been greeting her happily, exclaimed in surprise upon seeing Isla's short hair. The long hair that covered her back was gone. I tried to cut it once. Was it bad? When Isla asked, stroking her short hair, Winfried shivered violently. Oh no. You are really so pretty. Short hair looks good on you too. It was not an empty promise. Isla looked great with her short hair. The fresh and active atmosphere suited him perfectly. Well, no matter what Isla does, she will still be pretty. I'd probably be pretty even with a shaved head. Winfried, thinking to himself, accompanied Isla to the carriage. He was already in a critical condition. The carriage that transported them left for the mansion. Alone with her, the air felt somehow warm, but Winfried forced a calm expression. What should I say? What should I say to get Isla interested? He reflected on these thoughts while looking at her profile with a lost gaze, while she contemplated the landscape through the window. However, it was not Winfried, but Isla, who spoke first. No? By any chance, is there any news from Cloud? Oh, you mean Cloud Air? He's still unconscious. He lost so much blood that they don't know if he will wake up. At his response, Isla's face looked somewhat lonely. He hadn't completely forgiven Cloud. Still, it was true that she felt bad that something like that had happened to him, to someone who had helped her so many times. It seems like you are worried about that person. Winfred spoke cautiously, not knowing how to comfort her. He was her enemy trying to use her, but at the same time, he was her benefactor, who helped her return home safely. It was because he couldn't say he understood Isla, even with empty words. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done this when I think of you. That? Winfred blinked blankly at his sudden apology. I didn't understand why he was apologizing. He was the one who tried to kill you. You shouldn't worry about having someone like that in front of you.